Cool. Welcome to That Friday Feeling podcast with me, Helen Bartram, and today I'm joined by a pretty cool guy, Lee, who is a life coach, and he runs programs helping people with anxiety and depression. What a legend. Welcome, Lee.
Hello.
You all right?
I'm excited.
Good. Me too.
This has actually been a while for me for a podcast as well. So there we go.
And here we are, first one for a while together. We'll hold each other's hands. It'll be great.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
Cool. So That Friday Feeling podcast is all about the intention behind it is about sharing stuff that helps people to feel good. And we've had lots of different topics ranging from like the healing stuff, going into fitness and all music, comedy, all different things that can help us to feel good. But weirdly enough, we've never actually talked about feeling good about life and actually just enjoying life. So it would be great to explore that with you, because I feel like you're going to be a bit like a Duracell bunny when we start talking about this.
We shall find out. That tends to happen. I tend to just go off on one, and then you got to kind of rein me back in. But I suppose that's just the passion coming out, right?
Yeah, and that's cool. We love that. And I think me and you had a conversation obviously off this where we were like, yeah, cool, let's chat. What should we chat about? And for me, when we talk about stuff that really fires us up, that we're passionate about and we care about, that comes across, and it's always enjoyable to listen to. But I also think that that's where our inner wisdom comes out too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think we need to, is one thing that I do bang on a lot about is putting yourself in situations where your inner wisdom is able to come out. You know, like a lot of us, it's easy for us to go into stressful situations, and often subconsciously we seek these stressful situations, but putting ourselves more frequently in situations where we can get out of our head, so that, or to relax our mind, to relax our body, so that that inner wisdom can come out, and that kind of that inner guidance system can come out. I think that's a crucial part of enjoying life and being able to enjoy life, not for other people, to enjoy life for us. And I think that's another big part. Everybody is out to, oh, they want me to do this, so I'm going to do that. You know, they like going to this bar, so I'm going to go to this bar. I used to be like that all of the time, and then now I'm just like, I used to go in there, no worries, I'll go in here and I'll meet you later. What, you going by yourself? Yeah, I want to go in here. Oh, well, we come. No, you just do yours, I'll do mine, and I'll meet you up after. I'm fine with that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think that we've always gone through life just kind of following the crowd because that feels like the done thing. But actually, when you stop and think about what do I genuinely want to do, and be okay with doing some of that alone, that I think really then we get some real enjoyment out of life.
Yeah, 100%. And for a lot of people, like, it's a struggle, you know, even like with the members who I work with in the event that I just done, when you get into those questions of like, family aside, friends aside, partner aside, what do you love to do? And especially, like, I don't want to put labels on it, but women struggle even more because they're like, women just look after everybody. They're so incredible in that sense, you know, like, and a lot of men as well. Like, I love helping people, I love looking after everyone, but women are especially good at it, you know. They're especially helpful, and they'll reach out more, and they'll talk a little bit more, and they're always there to help, you know. And from that, or from projecting outwards all of the time, it becomes very difficult to remember what it is that we actually enjoy. And like you said before, a lot of us don't even know, because of, since we've been babies, we've just been taught to copy, taught to listen, taught to do it this way and to do it that way through schools and colleges and unis, and even listening to us sometimes, you know. And people forget to just sit and actually question themselves, like, what is it that I actually love doing, you know. And a great little tip for this is, whatever comes up first, that is what you actually really do love, like, doing, you know, because our ego jumps in and go, oh, but do I really like it because of this, and because Sammy along the street, she doesn't like it, or Paul doesn't like it, so do I really like it? Yeah, you fucking do, because that's what come up first. Like, your mind knows, and it's going to tell you at any opportunity that it gets.
Funny that, innit? And I think one, I've had experience of that. I think when I had my kids, I was like giving them everything, and then I got to a point where I was like, yeah, my kids are great, but what about me? Like, what's filling me up? What's making me happy? And actually finding the stuff, new stuff, because I think the stuff that made me happy before I had my kids, that wasn't me anymore. That wasn't aligned to where I was at and who I was. So having to find out what I do enjoy now and going and doing different things. So yeah, I think go out there and do more of that stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. But I also think it's so difficult because the world that we live in, this kind of busy doing thing where we don't get time to rest, that for me, in my experience, there was this massive guilt around stopping and doing more of the stuff that I enjoy. Do you find that with the people that you work with?
Yeah, I thought you were talking to me there.
Yeah.
I get that the same. Like
Yeah.
even me right now, I still get that the same. You know, it's nowhere near to the levels that it used to be. But I used to feel guilty. Like I remember, like when I was getting over kind of my anxiety and stuff like that, I used to set myself little challenges and one little fear-based challenges just to. It sounds crazy, but 2019, I put myself through everything that I could possibly think of to bring on a panic attack just to test what I'd been working on and make sure that it was working. And just one of the daft things that I used to do was go to the cinema by myself. Now that sounds like a small deal to some, but for me it was a huge deal, you know. I went first just by myself, and I was eating away as distraction. I had my phone and everything to try and distract. And then I went back again with nothing, you know, and it was difficult. It was difficult for me being in that little situation. And when I had no distractions around me, like i.e. my phone or the food, I was like, I shouldn't be here. I should be at home working. I should be writing those posts. I should be making that copy. I should be planning calls. And then you're gonna rein yourself in. Now it's kind of like it'll probably pop up once and then I just totally forget about it. You know, it's like I know that it's something that I value. And I also know that if I'm going to be teaching stuff, I need to preach it. You know, there's so many coaches out there, and somebody said to me on Saturday, they said, the reason that I love working with you the most is because I've worked with so many coaches telling me how to get anxiety free and not experience anxiety and stuff like that. And they're still having panic attacks to this day. And then yet you're not. Like I'm literally 6 years panic attack free. When more, I'm just used to saying six, but it's probably close to 7 now. You know, I literally haven't had a panic attack. I haven't even experienced the tingling through my arms, the heart racing, or it's just not something that kind of is on my radar in it anymore. You know, and that's not me saying that it could never happen. Of course it could. It's an emotion. Everybody experiences those. But what I do is how I sculpt my life and how the environments that I put myself in, the behaviors that I have, the traits that I have, the routines that I have, that just keeps me as far away from that feeling that way as possible, you know, and it keeps me in a good place. So I think it's very important to kind of practice what you preach. And you mentioned kids there, like we all know kids are the biggest sponges in the world. And if we aren't out doing the things that we love, then we can't blame them when they're older and they're not doing the things that they love.
I love that, because I felt like such a hypocrite for years, because I would say to my daughter, like, you can do anything that you want, like, believe in yourself and all this shit. And then I thought, fuck, I'm not leading by example. So like now, a lot of the stuff I do, like in September, for example, I went away on 3 different trips on my own without my family, like doing different courses, and hey, we done our meditation training together. But things like that, whereas previously I would never have done that because I would have had this little narrative that I needed to be with my kids. But actually, if I want them to go after what they want in life and truly believe in themselves and do the stuff that they're put on this earth to do, I have to lead by example. I have to do that. So you're totally right.
Yeah, I love that. And like you mentioned earlier, when we do these things and like when you have kids and when you experience growth and like that there, it may sound like something small to the listeners, but that's a big deal. And I imagine that being a big deal for you, you know. And now because of you've done that, you literally aren't the same person as you were 3 weeks ago.
No.
And things change, you know, like a lot of the members who I speak with, they believe that not life has an end point because, well, it depends on what you believe in. We're born and then we die, or afterlife and stuff like that. But they believe that during life, there's just loads of end points. And it's like, oh, well, I'll do this. And then when I get there, that's it done. And I'm like, you don't get it. There's no end point. There never is an end point. It's just a circle. It's like, yeah, we got the circle of life, but we got the circles within life as well. You know, you'll experience something, you'll grow, you'll learn, you'll become a totally different person. And then because you're a different person, you'll like to experience different things, and you'll have different habits and different behaviors. And the beauty of life is just to embrace them all, embrace the change. You know, like that. Me personally, right now, like back in the day, I would have said a different thing, but there's nothing worse than just being caught in that same old cycle over and over again. It just gets too boring. It gets monotonous. It's like Groundhog Day, and it's just like, what this is. You feel it. You feel your body and your mind is screaming at you, telling you to bloody get out and change and stop doing the same thing, walking in the same little trenches over and over again. Like your body and mind tell you to do it, and they tell you to do it by either forcing you into situations or forcing you to shut down and saying, I've had enough. I'm sick of telling you, you just lie in the settee and do whatever it is that you want to do and feel shit and go into pity party mode. And then when you're ready, I'm ready to take you on this beautiful journey. You know, our body puts us into these positions, but we've got to understand that, like, when we do change, it's great. And I think one of the biggest problems that most of my clients witness is when they start a change, they worry about their friends and things, you know, and this is a big deal. And when I was like from 12 to 27-ish, I had the same group of mates. It's like, there's a good few of us, you know. Sometimes when we go away on trips, there'd be a full busload of us. And I started to want different things. I started to veer off. I started to go into personal development. They went into just drinking all of the time and doing the same thing over and over again. And I had to kind of cut ties with some of them, you know. I had to kind of not cut ties properly, but just spend a little bit less time with them, you know, and do my own thing. And that's just continuing on the life. And there's a lot of discomfort in that. And some of them support what I do, and some of them don't support what I do. And that's perfectly fine. You know, that's perfectly fine. And you just keep going through those little circles and through those little loops of life. And I think that's where the enjoyment comes from. You know, even going to the same places. So many people just go same place, same place, same place. Oh, it's Saturday, let's go to our favorite restaurant. It's not even your favorite restaurant. You just keep going back. You know, it's just the one that you keep going to. It's probably convenient. You probably have the meal that you do enjoy, but you don't enjoy it like the first time you ever had it. You know, so life is a constant circle, and you got to step out and just keep making these shifts and move forward and experience as much of life as you possibly can. Like, I'm big on purpose and vision, not so much purpose in the sense of we have this final purpose, because again, it's circles. We change, we adapt, and we grow. You know, a lot of when we hear about purpose, especially in our field, is like we have one purpose and that's our purpose for the rest of the life. A bit like a career. It's like you're now going to become an accountant and you're an accountant for the rest of your life. No, that's not what it is, right? That's not what life's about. You got to experience it. Imagine getting to the very end and saying, "Oh, I just had one job," or "I just had one thing," or "I was just working towards one thing." I think that would be boring as hell. But I do have a purpose that I work to at the moment, and it's something that spurs me on. It gives me fire in the belly, and this is what it boils down to. What I figured it out, and this is from looking at all areas of my life. I work on 5 areas of my life: my mind, my body, my relationships, my business, and me fun and freedom and stuff for just me and me alone. They're my 5 key areas. Now, across all 5 of those, there was a common trend of what I was doing and what I felt like I wanted to do and where my vision was taking me. And it was this: it was to have as many happy memories and experiences as I possibly can while helping those who ask for help along the way. And everything that I do is based around that. And when I follow that, and if I use that in the forefront of my mind to make decisions, it's creating such a beautiful life for me. It's taken me on such a crazy little ride, and there's ups and there's downs, but it's amazing. It's just like a roller coaster. It's fun, you know, and it's something that I can work towards. But again, I'm fully open to that'll change. As I grow, that might change, you know. Even just a couple of weeks back, it changed slightly. And you might have heard me emphasize the ask for help, because you're very much like me, right? We just want to help everybody. We don't want to see anybody suffering. We want everybody to feel good, feel happy, enjoy life, feel free, and just live in the moment. But when we do what we do, it was especially what I do, like with people who experience anxiety, is it's hard because not everybody, you want the results more so for them. Not everybody's ready, and not everybody wants the advice or wants the help, or wants the tools and the tips that you can use in order to change. And what I was doing, and I found I was wasting a whole lot of energy just trying to help everybody to the detriment of myself.
Yeah.
And we can't live that way. We can't do that, you know. So now I've tightened up my purpose in a sense, and it's those who ask for help, I'm here for you, and I'm here for you 100%. Those who don't ask for help, don't expect me to give you advice or tell you how to live your life, because that's for you. That your life is your life, you know. And even the people who I do help, it's not my place to advise. It's my place to dig it out of them, what they want, you know, in a coaching perspective. And that's something else that I learned a lot of. Like when I first started in this game, it was like, this works for me, so it works for them. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. You know, that like we were speaking about inner wisdom before at the start of the call, and tapping into that. And a great coach won't advise you and tell you what to do. A great coach will guide you to that inner wisdom, and then hear it from your own mouth what you want to do. You know, and that's something that I pride myself on and work towards. And I do that myself too. You know, through meditation, through getting out, through doing the things that I love, that allows me to get my own inner wisdom, or I'll just hire a coach to help me too if I need to.
Love it. Genuinely didn't think I was going to get a fucking word in edgeways, but yeah, thanks for giving me some airtime.
I told you.
That. No, it's cool. I love it. So many little words of wisdom there. For me, the one thing that I preach is like, I'm not the expert of anybody apart from myself. Like, you are the expert of you. And yes, sometimes we need help pulling that information and wisdom out of us. Sometimes we need support. Sometimes we just need space holding. But I don't believe that any of us are the expert of each other. And I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of kind of experts out there selling you, do this step by step and you will feel X, Y, and Z. And I call bullshit, because I think that everybody is different. Everybody's life story, everybody's trauma, everybody's experience is different. There's no one way, no one size fits all for everybody. However, I think as a coach and a leader, you can offer, this could work, this could work, this could work. Try it, feel into it, do it for you. But ultimately, you are the expert of yourself. Like, I can't fix you. I can't tell you what's going to make you happy, because I'm not you. So yeah. I think that's massive. And I think that being able to tap into that inner wisdom is a game changer. But sometimes we do need support from somebody else to help us pull it out, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Every single individual person has their own individual map of the world. And like part of what I do is or what I have to do is just learn to respect that, you know. And sometimes, again, when it comes to the results side of things, you're like, when you know someone's just on the edge of a breakthrough, but they turn around and they start heading back, sometimes you just got to accept that. Sometimes you got to let them go back. Sometimes you got to, like, I'm a nice bloke, right? Like, I pride myself on that, right? Now, sometimes as a coach, like, people will see me and I will be nice, I will be supportive, I will be empathetic, I will understand, and I'll help you as best as I can. But sometimes me helping you the best I can means I got to push you off a cliff. Sometimes I've got to throw you in the nettles. Sometimes I've got to be a bit of a dick. But I'll get some members will be like, Lee, like, why would you even speak to me like that? Like, what's going on? And then the next couple of days, they're like, Lee, I'm sorry. I understand. I know what you've done now. I see it. It's played out.
I think that's what you call tough love.
Yeah. Look, I've got this saying, and it's everyone, we get cups and things like that inside the group, and got a little quote on it. It's love isn't always like an arse.
Love that.
It's that. It's like, but it all comes from the what would love do, you
Yeah.
know? What would love do? It's such a powerful question, and whenever you're in certain situations, like you get caught up, especially when it comes to people, because we got a lot of people problems, right? One of the biggest problems that we have in life isn't our work. It's people. It's our partners. It's our kids. It's our friends. It's our colleagues or whatever. But a lot of people problems, and whenever I come against a people problem myself, I'm just like, what would love do? Like really, and it sounds very spiritual and woo woo in some senses, but when you do ask, like, what would love actually do? It separates you from the equation, it separates them from the equation, and it just gives you an answer. And then you can just follow that answer, or you can allow your ego to deter you away from that answer, you know. But in most cases, just asking, even if you're struggling by yourself and you're feeling down, or you're not feeling yourself, like, what actions would love take right now for me, you know? And it's always got to be not from a selfish perspective of me, but from a selfless perspective of me. It's always got to be about you, because again, we can't change other people. We can influence them through our own actions, but we can't change what anybody does. We can't change what anybody else thinks. And it's not for us to do that, you know, because who's to say that my opinion is better than anybody else's? No one. And I won't even say that. All I do is just chat shit all the time. You know, but some people take so much from it, you
Yeah.
know. But again, it's that chatting shit is it's when I've got still, it's when I've listened, it's when I can easily separate ego out of the equation, because I've got nothing to prove right now. Like when you separate ego, and when it's just you, the raw you, that wisdom comes out, right? And a lot of the time there is concepts around human beings, and there's certain concepts that if we hydrate and we all drink water, we become more hydrated. All of us do, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. So there is certain concepts that integrate with everybody else's life, and we are all intertwined in this big golden web of life, you know. um but yeah, I'm off on a tangent again.
I love that.
I'll let you speak again.
No, it's cool. I was just like, this big golden web. Wow, this is going deep. This is going places I didn't think it was going. No, I love it. And I think
Because I'm heart breathing sitting here.
we're touching our heart space right now. And I think that you're right. There is that. I'm from a psychology background, so I know the stuff that science tells us work, the benefits we get from journaling, from a gratitude practice, from meditation, and all that jazz. However, for me, just because science tells us this is beneficial doesn't mean it serves the individual. And I think that's the important thing, is like, we can take on, and I've done this, like we can take on all the personal development world tasks that tell us this is gonna like fucking amplify success, happiness, all that shit. But ultimately, if it's adding more stress and chaos into our lives, it's counterproductive. It's not beneficial, is it?
Yeah, 100%. And we spoke briefly about opinions before. And I know science is evidence-based or backed, or whatever we want to call it, but it's from opinions at the end of the day. You know, it's like, I'm going to do this. This is what I feel is the best study to take hold to get this information. And then we get this. We don't know a lot of it. We don't even know where it come from, you know, a lot of the information. And again, yeah, a lot of it really does work. But the same as what you're saying, you can't, let me speak from my experience here. When I was 9 years old, I started having panic attacks. It was a very young age, and throughout my teens, I seen a lot of stuff that I couldn't handle. You know, it traumatized me. My brother he was taking drugs all the time. He was on heroin. The police coming to the door. He's getting his ankle smashed in with sledgehammers. All of this stuff, and it built up, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't ask for help when I should have. And when I first went to see a GP and asked for help, I remember I was sitting there, and the GP was just asking me questions, and just, he didn't even look me in the eyes. He wasn't even looking at me in the eyes. He was on his computer, exactly. He was going through his screen, asking me these bloody ticky box questions, asking me these things. my head was so messed up. I was really struggling to get across what I was trying to say and what I was feeling and experiencing. And he just didn't care, you know? And all he cared about was ticking this box of someone else's opinion, of something else, of just making sure I fit this criteria so that he could palm me off with some medication. And he's following science-based stuff. He's following all of these evidence-based things, you know? But I would have gotten so much more from him if he had just looked me in the eyes as if I wasn't a piece of shit and just actually listened to me, you know, and just he could have probably given me way better advice than that piece of whatever he was scrolling through on the computer was going to give me ever.
But I think it's that there is we just, for me, we overlook the simplicity of just holding space and being seen and being heard. Because fucking hell, how difficult is it to actually ask for help? Like, I'm a gobshite, but I'm never the first person to go, I'm struggling here, I need help. So to build up and actually do that, and then for somebody to not have the decency to hold space and be with you as another human and just connect, like, just listen, just for you to be seen and for you to be heard. And I think that this whole mental health crisis, the way the world, like, for me, if we really stripped back and connected and held space for one another and allow people to be seen and heard and have their feelings and trauma validated, like, for me, that would overcome a lot of stuff. I think that, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but in that moment, I assume you just wanted to be seen and heard.
Yeah, but I went to him to get advice, essentially. I didn't want, even if he had a look into my background, my family history, it's all on there, it's all connected, you know. He would have seen that my brother was taken and he was an addict of the drug he was just about to give me. Like what sense does that ever make? And I know we either go one way or the other. We either copy and take them the same, or we go the deterrent. I was a total deterrent, and I was like, I don't want those. My brother takes those. There's no way in earth I'm going to take those because I see what they do. And he was like, yeah, but you're only taking a little bit. And I was like, there's a good chance I'm going to get addicted to those. I don't want them. And I left that time. I left. I felt disheartened. I felt unheard. I felt that I wasn't listened to. I felt like he didn't care and he just wanted to pass on medication and get me out of the room. Luckily, the next time I went, this man was a little bit different. He gave me some tools, but he also referred me. And again, this is just my opinion, and please don't. You got to have your own experience on this. He gave me medication still, a different form of medication, a lot more subtle kind of medication, and he referred me. I got CBT, I got counselling, and all of these different things, and I was just being taught a whole bunch of distraction techniques. Now, I do understand that there's a time and a place for distraction techniques, and I do feel that for where I was at, that was the last thing I needed, because at that same time, I had a whole load of OCDs, and I was petrified to leave my bedroom. And me going around to the doctors was the first time in 3 months that I had left my bedroom, and it was a big ordeal, you know. And then I was getting more information and more stuff to do. Like you say, stress on top of stress, it sent me over the top. I was sitting there, it was a bit like I'd imagine a journalist is with all the paperwork all over the desk and just like, well, where do I start on this story? I was like that. I was like, where on earth do I start? Do I stare at my hand to stop the panic attacks? Do I count to 10 and breathe to stop me panic attacks? And I just had all of this information. I didn't know what to do when. So I was just like, well, I'll do this now, and 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 it just sent me fucking nuts. It sent me absolutely nuts. It sent me to the point of the distractions became a habit, and the distractions became an OCD alongside all of the other OCDs I had. So at one point, I was lying in bed. I couldn't get no sleep. I wasn't telling my parents the full story because, again, I'm a man, a silly man at the time. And I wasn't voicing it. And I was just staying up all night, crying, panicking, shaking, having panic attacks, falling asleep, waking up, panicking, falling asleep, having nightmares, waking up, panicking. And what I decided to do, or what my brain thought made sense, was just to continue on this little distraction train. And I would play on a game on my phone. It was a bit like Space Raiders, but a bit more technical. It was on a Sega, I think I had at the time, and it had color. And I'd play on that until I had a panic attack. And then I would stop that because I would say that didn't work. So I'd pick up a Rubik's Cube. and I'd play on that until the panic gone, and then until I had a panic attack again, and then I'd say that didn't work. And then I had the ball version of Rubik's cubes where I used to get the color balls to match the holes, and you had to rotate it till I had a panic attack. And I had a row all the way along my double bed of just games like that. I had like Labyrinth where you move the metal ball around with the knobs. You know, you move the board like this. I remember I got that from, and I was just buying loads of distraction games, and they were just sending me insane. All I was doing was collecting evidence of why they don't work.
Fuck me, that sounds exhausting.
It was. I was on it. That was the worst time of my life. During that time, those are the parts that I could remember. Um, I went to see the doctor, and I thought it was for the first time. And I'm speaking to the doctor, and he's like talking to me as if he's seen me before, and I'm thinking, I don't understand. And then I'm talking to wait room, and he goes, and he asked me a couple of questions. He's like, "Oh well, I'm glad you can remember your date of birth now." And I'm like, "Mate, what are you on? What are you on about? I know my date of birth." And he said, "Well, I seen you a couple of months back, and I was asking you questions, and you were going to say it as if you knew, but you just nothing was coming out. You just didn't know. Your brain was so full, you couldn't access any information. You couldn't tell me your brother's name. You couldn't tell me what your date of birth was. You couldn't answer any simple questions at all."
Shit.
And I was like, "Well, mate, I don't even remember being here." I literally couldn't even remember being there. And I was like, shit. And that again, putting stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff, it doesn't fucking work, man. It's like you said, we got it. If anything, especially if I'm speaking particularly around anxiety, is or overwhelm, we need to remove stuff. We need to take off those layers of skin like an onion. We need to do less, 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 less. Think less, do less, operate less, worry less, and it's peeling back those layers. And obviously, there's things you can do to do that, but those doing tasks are eliminating things. Like just an example, so that it makes it a bit more clear. Like one of the phases that I work through is a decluttering phase, and I'll do that every 90 days or so. I'll just get rid of shit. You know, I'll get rid of the clothes in my wardrobe. I'll get rid of the stuff that's built up around my desk. I'll get rid of the stuff that I've been worrying about. I'll get it down on paper and things like that. And I just declutter everything. And it's almost like, I can't believe I'm actually saying these words, especially from a PT background. It's almost like I've done a cleanse. You know, like I go through this cleanse of, but it's removing so that I haven't had it up to here. I've got so much space that no matter what happens, it's never going to fill me up to the point of bursting. You know, and the same with meditation, it just creates so much space for you to think, space for you to breathe. And it's such a simple thing as just clear out your wardrobe will make a huge difference. Clear out your emails, clear out your phones, clear out your pictures inside of your body. All these daft things that your brain is just processing just makes you feel so much more free. Like Simon Cowell, like, have you heard of decision fatigue?
No.
So in the big old celebrity world, there's something called decision fatigue. Obviously, the love labels, right? They have to make so many decisions across the course of the day, it gets exhausting. Yeah, it's the same as me making a decision between the
I've heard
Rubik's
it, yeah.
between all of this. So Simon Cowell is a prime example of, he's like, I want to have as minimal decisions as I can so that I can give the best answers as I possibly can. So he just buys the same clothes over and over again. It's not because it's his favorite top and it's his favorite. No, it's one less thing for him to make a decision on. He knows, and he can just send anybody out to get his clothes. He knows what he's going to put on the next day. He knows what he's going to wear on the night time. He knows. It's simple. It's not something to figure out. Look at how much stress is built around going out for a night out, especially like for women. You can only wear a dress once. What on earth is that about? Like now you're gonna find a whole dress and a whole world of dresses or skirts or pants and whatever. Like imagine how much just that decision of knowing what you're gonna wear. Look at how much that just brings everything in. And it's the same for me. Through my work week, I will wear joggers and I'll wear Invincible t-shirts and that's it. It's almost like my little uniform. Hardly nobody even gets to say them, but it's one less decision for me to make.
Wow.
So there we go.
I think it's funny because mentioned a few times over there about like peeling stuff back and distractions and stuff. And I think that the world in which we live, it's so easy to distract, like alcohol, drugs, phones, whatever your thing is. But also it's equally overstimulating. Like there's so much like overstimulation, like TVs, phones, like constantly being bombarded with information, which in one aspect is amazing because we have so much information at our fingertips. However, it's about what you're saying is actually creating space from the overstimulation without the distraction. And I think that that's a challenge for me, because from somebody who would distract by keeping busy and doing stuff and working and having kids over and all that jazz, actually sitting and being is really uncomfortable for me. And it's something that I'm getting better at, but just creating that space and resting and not doing because I'm aware that I'm just distracting from how I feel or what I'm thinking and all that jazz. But actually, I think that people creating more stillness and more quiet in their day, even just a few minutes, is so beneficial. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And it is difficult because distraction's a bit like sugar, isn't it? It's like once you've had a little taste of it, like I'm not even on TikTok, right? But yeah, I'll click on something on Instagram, it'll take me to TikTok and I'll be watching a video and then I'm stuck for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just the next one. You're like filled in this excitement. But I think for me, the way that I monitor that, or not even monitor it because that would just be a total chore. But the things that I'll do is I'll just make sure that the environments I'm spending my time in are going to get me the result that I want, you know. And if I'm spending my time in right now I'm in the living room. If I was spending my time in here working away with the computer with the TV on or something, then I'm presupposing myself to distractions, you know. If I've got my phone in the same room, again distractions. And when we were at that retreat, our juniors retreat, you seen I had the little tablet, and what I was drawing on there is no distractions. I cannot be distracted with that. And if I take myself that tablet into we've got like a spare room I like to sit in. It's got my little old man armchair in there. And if I go into there, I have no TV, I have no radio, I have no phones. Nothing is allowed to come in there. I have one phone and it's only got Insight Timer on and it's got nothing else on. That's it. And that's the only one. So it allows me, the only things that I do in there or what I do in there is create space or create, you know, and it's putting yourself in environments. And I love walking. And I think being in the environment of nature is one of the most beautiful reminders that we need space, and that space is available is incredible, you know, like and also walking for me, especially in nature, is one of those wisdom accessing tools, you know, like from even just last night I done like a little free masterclass on the seasons, right? Like the seasons, it sounds daft and we just forget the seasons, right? But spring is to remind us that summer's on its way. So we start to get our lighter gear in, we start to buy our sunglasses, we start to do stuff to prepare for the summer. Summer reminds us that when we're in England, that's not going to last very long. But it also reminds us that autumn's on its way. And as soon as autumn hits, like right now, Christmas is around the corner. But autumn is a reminder of winter. Now, autumn and winter for me is the most challenging time or the two challenging seasons in the year, you know. And just looking out, I was it was on the weekend when I'd done the event, and we're standing looking at the trees. And in autumn, it's got this beautiful reminder that everybody misses. The leaves and the plants all start to die. The bees and the wasps all start to die. Most of the animals and species and plants and trees, they all die in the winter because it's a very difficult time to sustain. Animals go into hibernation or torpor, depending on what they are. We need to do the same when it comes to winter. You know, we need to stop doing quite as much because we don't have as much sun energy as we would have in the summer. We need to unload, we need to do less, we need to have more time being present. But just going out in the nature, that teaches you that. It teaches you, you see it, you feel it, and it guides you almost by doing stuff that gets out of your head and creates that space. And being in what I would call really our natural environment.
We are nature.
Yeah, we are.
It's
We're
just
made up of
being
it.
with nature, isn't it? And I think I love that because I love going to the beach and being by the sea and just getting my feet on the sand. But equally, I love being by trees. And I actually, this is so weird, but I get so much wisdom from trees. Like, genuinely, I can just sit amongst trees and get some of my best ideas just by being there and being with nature. And I think that, again, it's the simple things we massively kind of, we often get distracted by the shiny objects, don't we? And actually, the things that we probably knew as kids, like playing outside and being by the sea and getting to bed early, turning your TV off, and all that jazz, like actually serves us as adults. But we massively overlook that because we get distracted by all the nice, shiny adult things.
Yeah, and then we tell our kids not to.
Yeah,
We tell our kids to do the things, go to bed early. You need your beauty sleep. You wake up, you need to go to bed early because you've got a big day at school tomorrow. Yet they're at school for 6 hours and you're working for 12. And you're going to bed later after watching TV and watching more. But you're right, like I would challenge anybody who is struggling mentally, we'll just say mentally, drop them in the woods, drop them in a beach, drop them in the countryside, drop them in somewhere where there's nothing and just get them to sit there and be still. And they'll have a next level experience of calm. You know, even I had a whole group of them all struggling with anxiety. We took them in the woods, we walked, I got them to stand still. One of them said, I've never ever felt that before. And I was like, that's just being present. You know, the whole world opens up. There's a little tool that I teach and I learned from another program. It's called Triple S. I don't know, have you heard of it? So it's stillness, silence, and solace. So you go to preferably somewhere within nature, you just get still, and I mean still. Get comfortable, don't move, not looking around, just get still. Be silent. So don't say a word, don't start trying to go through all of these thoughts inside of your head, and just be by yourself, not with your dog, not with anybody else, and just be by yourself and just look. And your eyes open again, just look straight ahead, and you'll start to notice nature starts to come out. You'll start to notice the trees are moving in this sense. And I know what you mean about like trees and that giving you so much wisdom. There was somebody who was talking to me and they were saying, oh, I love how trees talk to you. And I was like, you're weird, you know? And then there's this place, no, there's this place that I like to go to. And this sounds weird now, but it's like a sewage pipe comes out and it leads onto like a river thing. And I normally sit there. And one day I just thought, you know what? And I looked up, it was summer, and I just lay back on this sewage pipe, right? And I looked up towards all of the trees, layering upon layering across, and there was a gentle breeze, and they were just moving. And I was just still, silent. There was odd midges flying around, there was flies, there was wasps, there was birds that I've never even heard in my entire life before. The river was rushing along, and these trees were just moving. And I don't know what they were saying, but I felt like I understood. You know, it's like that, like being connected. You know, it's almost like they do have their own language, and it was as if they were talking to me, and I was like, now I understand. I said,
I think that's it. It's talking to your soul, your human kind of, and I think where we struggle with shit like this, and people listening probably think, what a fucking weirdo. But where we struggle with shit like this is that we need our human to understand something it's not capable of. And I can't remember what it was, but I actually remember something on our juniors retreat, and I said it, and I saw you kind of side-eyeing me, and I thought, fuck, he thinks I'm a weirdo. And that's cool. But I also think, like, if we just get curious, like people listening to what you've just said probably think like, what the actual? But I think if we just get curious about stuff beyond our human, like we don't have to make sense of stuff to experience it. Like that, I often lie and look at the clouds in the sky and like everything just makes sense. Like my mind doesn't get why it makes sense, but I feel that it just makes sense. And I think that the fact we try to humanly make sense of it is where we struggle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It's almost like we're just separating the conscious from the subconscious, aren't we? It's kind of like our subconscious, our guidance, our actual body and who we are kind of understands and knows. like kind of us, the ultimate presence, us, the observer of us, the not our mind, the not our body, the one in between, who's observing this whole thing. They understand, but then the front part of the brain where it's like we're thinking all of the time, we're trying to make sense of it, and our senses, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, all these senses that we have are to make sense of the world. That's what they are there for. And then they'll take it in like sensors, they'll pass it to your brain to see if it matches up with anything else so that you can know what to do, etc., etc. But it's accessing, and the same as what we were talking about before. It's just ultimately what we've been talking about for the past 20 minutes or so is pure presence, just pure and utter presence, to the point of presence of no thought, to the presence of just ultimate feeling, experience, in bliss, without judgment, without expectation, without the need to do something, the need to be somewhere, just pure and utter blissful presence in that moment in time. And it's a bit of a practice, but it's fucking beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, and
But that's what
for me, because I was always so busy and distracting, even still now when I've had a chaotic week or this shit on my mind, when I sit and then be still, I just simply say to myself, there's nothing more important than being here now. Because when we do that whole, but I need to do this and I need to do that, and the kids pack lunch and all this other shit that we're just avoiding being still, when we say to ourselves, there's nothing more important than being here now, I suddenly just go, okay, just be here now.
I absolutely love that. That is like, if there's a mantra that everybody needs right now, that is it. You know,
Shit, I should copyright that, shouldn't I?
yeah, definitely. You put one of those quotes on so I can pinch it and stick my badge on. But it's true though, and it goes back to the saying. I think it was Buddha who said it, where he said, and he's talking about meditation. It's like, if you don't have the time to meditate for 10 minutes, you need to meditate for an hour. And it's that your thoughts are just racing, especially like I do a training on anxiety, and we talk about rev counter, or like a speedo on a clock. And if our speed or of our thoughts and our mind, and you get a sense of that, don't you? When you slow down, you get a sense of the overrun, of the revving still happening. If our speed of our mind's at like 20 miles an hour, we're all good, everything's flowing nice. We can, even if we were traveling 20 miles an hour in a car, we can see the world, we can see the trees, make out the faces of the people going by, we make out all the situation, we'll know where we are because we'll see the street signs. Take that up to 60 miles an hour and you're flying past people, you're like, who's that? And it's very hard to take it in. You're not going to see the street signs, you're not going to get the information from the world, you're not going to know where you are. Take that up again to like hitting the red line, you're at 100 and odd miles an hour. That's what generally when panic attacks start to happen. It's just a case of your thoughts and your brain is just going way too fast. You've had the foot on the accelerator for way too long. Now you've taken it off, it's stuck. And a lot of what I do is get that accelerator from being unstuck, and let's decrease. Let's take our foot off the accelerator with control at the right pace that is right for you, the pace that's right for your conscious mind, the pace that's right for your subconscious mind, the rate that is right for your lifestyle, your environment, your behaviors, your family, and then when you slow down, and sometimes they say the longest journey you'll ever take is the journey from your head to your heart. And that's almost what we're doing. And sometimes it can take years. Sometimes it can take months. Sometimes it can take weeks. Some days it'll be there and you'll be in your head. Some days it'll be in your heart. But it's a beautiful journey, and it's about taking your foot off that accelerator, isn't it? Like you couldn't jump in your car, high and neutral, and just slam your foot on the accelerator and expect your car to last very long. It's the same for us. And people wonder, like, why is it I'm good for 3 months and then I fall into a pit of despair again? Yeah, what do you expect? You're trying to play catch up from the months that you were off. You're doing the same things that you were doing before you were off. You're thinking the same thoughts. You're going to the same places. You're doing the same behaviors. Everything is exactly the same. Like, now's the time for you to realize that something needs to change. Otherwise, you're just going to be getting the same thing. You need to keep getting a new engine because you keep blowing it out. And also when we get still and we get aware, the awareness that comes from stillness, it tells you when you're injured. It tells you when you need to slow down. Like your body, your mind, the feeling tells you that you're doing too much. And if you listen to it and don't get caught up and trying to keep up with everybody else, if you listen to that inner wisdom, you will be able to go for way longer than everybody else. And if you, this is a big thing in the success world, and you'll be way more successful than everybody else because you'll be able to keep going longer. You know, even in the PT world, like some of my previous members would be like, oh, well, Sandra along the road's losing 10 pounds. How come I only lost 2 pounds? I'm like, because Sandra's going to lose 10 pounds twice and she's going to sack it off for 6 months. I went, you're going to lose 2 pounds for a full year. And at the end of it, you're going to lose way, way more than she ever has. You know, and it's that going at the right pace, listening to your body, getting it to fit in your lifestyle. But the same as you mentioned before, even if we get 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and we just stack those up, eventually those become hours across the course of the day of pure calm. You know, like I meditate 3 times a day. And some people do more, some people do less. But eventually it leads up to more periods of calm. And then there's things that I'll do, like even this is very calming for me because I'm speaking from the heart. I'm not speaking from the mind. My mind's too slow for that. The information it would come out just splutters and words, you know, but doing things like this just increases calm throughout your day. Like when I drive, I'm heart breathing as I'm driving. I'm in a calm place. I'm in a calm state. If I'm passenger, calm. I'm not sitting on my phone. I'm calm. I'm looking around. I'm being curious at the environment. When I go for a walk, I play Spot the Difference. And there's a lot of wildlife around, and I'll see bits of wall and lampposts and trees and plants that I've never even seen. And yet I walk the same route every single day. And it's from that place of curiosity. And before I know it, I'm back home. And it's like, wow, that was nice. It's like an escape. It's like we all have the opportunity to go on a little mini retreat or to go on holiday anytime that we like. All we got to do is close our eyes. We're away, innit?
I love that. And I think that I always try to live from the heart but take my head with me because there's times I'm going to need this.
Yeah.
However, I think when we can live more from the heart, it's much easier. Like you say, the calm, it just feels good. It's easy. I'm not having to overthink what I'm saying to you now because I'm just speaking from the heart and just being here with you. And for me, this is just about starting small. So if anybody listening is just in a place where they're thinking, yeah, that's great, but how do I even begin? Like just taking them few moments every day and just starting somewhere, starting small, few moments a day, and just snatching little moments of calm or little moments of peace, whatever you feel resonates, whatever you feel like you need. It's just snatching those, creating time for them, but starting small. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And from that starting small, you learn to love it. And then at the pace that's right for you, you'll increase, you know? And something that I like to do is immerse myself in the moment or identify the moment. I'll just a simple thing, and you can do it anywhere, any place, anytime, any moment in time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's kids there, the dog's there, there's anything. And just be curious about the moment. What can I see? Just look around. What can I see? It's not about calling them out in your brain. It's not like if I look around my room now, there's like a fan, there's TV, there's windows. I'm not calling them out. I'm just looking. That's it. What can I hear? Hear the fan on the laptop. It's background noise. Yeah. That's it. What can I smell? Nothing really. Probably should put some aftershave on. No, and it's just identifying that moment and literally it just takes you to that point so fast. And even a 1 minute meditation, if you have to start there, 2 minutes. What is meditation? Just close your eyes to begin with. You'll figure it out. Just close your eyes.
I think that's it for me. I've worked with people that have been in that place where I was, that kind of distracting chaos, busyness. And for me, it's just get comfortable with stillness to start with. And I know meditation doesn't have to be that, but I think when we stop and just slow for like even a moment, even if I just say for the next 60 seconds, I'm setting my alarm, there's nothing else more important than being here now for this next 60 seconds. Everything else can wait, and just allowing yourself that and then building up. Because I think that when we go, I'm going to do 20-minute meditation, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, just start small. Just be here now for 60 seconds, fully aware, fully present, still. Doesn't have to be silent. Just observe the noises, like you say, but just start somewhere.
Yeah.
Now.
You can use the distractions as your tools. That's what a lot of my members are like, oh, well, I can't do it now because the dogs are running around. Let them. They're always going to run around, the dogs. Oh, but your kids, they're watching Pokemon. Yeah, they're going to watch Pokemon tomorrow as well. Just get still. Nothing's going to happen. And again, you can get still with your eyes open as a step as well, you know, just get still, just silence, not quite triple S because there's people there, but just, you know what, I'm just gonna play a statue, what's it, musical statues or whatever, I'm just